Hey, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. We'll get this thing started pretty soon. We just got a few people still logging on, but it's a very festive week. I want to say we hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving this week. There's a lot to be grateful for out there. Hopefully everyone has a good week and a shorter week if you're down here in the U.S. We do have kind of an international crowd sometimes that jumps on. But those here in the U.S., we're celebrating Thanksgiving this week, and we hope everybody has an awesome Thanksgiving. But we'll get things going, and we'll let you know as people are jumping on. More people are jumping on. This is an awesome technical webinar we're doing this week. It's a deep dive on Z-Wave lights. So we're hoping that we can provide a little more knowledge and information to you guys about Z-Wave lights, what's compatible with our system, how Z-Wave works, the test tools we even have for Z-Wave. This will be set up. So if anybody has any questions, they can type them in down on the questionnaire part, and we have Whitney from our marketing department that's going to be helping us answer the questions, and also myself. So ask away if any questions do come up. But let's get this thing going. Every IQ panel 2 plus comes with Z-Wave included, but it actually also comes with Z-Wave Plus. And a lot of people ask, well, what is Z-Wave Plus? What's the difference between the Z-Wave 300, the normal Z-Wave, and Z-Wave Plus, which is 500 series? Well, Z-Wave 300, that normal Z-Wave, came out in 2008. Now it's 2018, so that's 10 years old. Z-Wave Plus, first thing you're going to get with it is better range. You get about double the range with Z-Wave Plus as compared to your normal Z-Wave. And you also get an encryption with that. So it's an encrypted Z-Wave, so it's a more secure form of Z-Wave. And then also, you get a better speed with it. It's much faster. It's more reliable. The performance is just much better. So if you're dealing with Z-Wave Plus devices, you will notice, and with our panel, that when you ask the panel to turn on the lights, or you use Alexa, use your app, whatever it might be, it happens right away. There's not that latency or that lag that you get. So Z-Wave Plus is superior, very superior to your normal Z-Wave. As far as in our panel, people ask, what are your device limits? And we want to explain this to you. We know this is a Z-Wave lights deep dive, but we want to kind of hit on some other things just so you understand how many lights you can use in a system. So our panel will hold 119 Z-Wave devices. That's 80 lights, 6 locks, 6 thermostats, 6 garage doors, like the linear Z-Wave garage door, and 21 other devices. These could be a Z-Wave water valve turnoff. There's lots of different Z-Wave sensors that are compatible with the panel. And we do, if you go to our dealer site, the Colsys dealer site, and you go to the very bottom of the page, you can see compatible Z-Wave devices. So this little FYI is that our 2.3 software is coming out at the end of next month, mid to end of December, and we plan on making a couple changes with the Z-Wave devices. We will, in that software release, you will then be able to do 20 locks and 10 thermostats. These are some things that we've just learned over time, so that people are asking for. And as we've gotten the Power G in the panel, people are doing some bigger jobs where they need a lot more locks and thermostats. So let's see, we have a question here. What is the range of Z-Wave Plus? Well, it's double the range of normal Z-Wave is one of the questions. Do you have, people ask, is there an exact range, like footage? Well, it's different compared to the house. I'm not sure exactly on the exact number, but it depends on reflections and how that signal is being sent, so depending if somebody has more interference in their house, you're not going to get as far, but it is double the range of normal Z-Wave. And just, someone also asked if we can get a copy of this. We will have this listed. We'll post it to our Colsys YouTube site afterwards, so you guys can rewatch it or share it with somebody if you needed to. But moving on, I did mention you can do 80 light devices. So this includes light bulbs, the outlets, the switches, the dimmer switches. Those are all considered part of lights. And outside of just the Colsys products, we have a large list of lighting and appliances that we are compatible with. And if you go to like this page, this link here, Colsys.com, compatible devices, you'll actually see these lighting devices that we have tested that are approved by us as Colsys that work with our system. So you see the Leviton, the Linear, you see our own Colsys products, AOTech, Evolve, Intermatic, Jasco, which is very popular, Jasco GE ones, the AOTech, some Slog products, Slag. But there's a lot of devices out there that we are compatible with. And this is what we have listed on our website. But if you were to actually, there are some devices that will still work with our system that we either haven't finished doing our internal testing with or just, haven't gotten to yet. But there are other devices that will work. But these are the ones that we've gone out and we've done the work to make sure they work properly with our system. So these are some great devices out there. Once again, these are lighting and appliance control devices. And since this is a deep dive into lighting, that's what we're kind of focusing on. But also on this page, if you're interested in all the compatible Z-Wave devices, you would see it at the same link. If you want to get into locks and thermostats and all that kind of stuff. There are some really important best practices to follow with Z-Wave. So we want to go over some things. Just we get a huge array of different people on this call, so we want to make sure everyone understands, how that works. So, or how to use Z-Wave the best. So the first thing we want to talk about is when you're going to learn in a device, we always recommend that you first clear it out. So to clear a device, even in our wizard, this is a screenshot. It actually prompts you, hey, clear out the device first. Hit clear on the panel, and then you hit the enrollment button or clear button on the device, and it clears out the device. And then you'll add it in after you've cleared it. Some best practices also is you hear of secure enrollment. If you're learning in any system, even to get to your lights, but if you have a lock on that system, it's always kind of smart to learn that lock in first. Locks send over a lot of information. They take a little bit of time to learn in. So it's good to learn those in first. And we always recommend that you learn them within 4 feet of the panel, 3 to 6 feet, people say. And that's because locks learn in with secure enrollment. So when they're actually sending that enrollment, the signal is not as strong. And this is what the lock companies have done to make themselves more secure, where somebody outside of that home or far away wouldn't be able to learn that lock into their panel. So it's called secure enrollment. A lot of people will either sometimes make sure before they install the lock that they pair it into the panel, or take the panel over by the lock if you can get into that Z-Wave mode. So just some little tips and tricks with the secure enrollment. Also with that, you got to remember these are mesh networks. But okay, after you've learned in your devices, we also, we have lots of tools on the panel. We'll get into these. We're actually going to take a little trip on the panel. I'll pull a panel up, and we're going to learn in some devices together, and then we'll go through some of the test tools that we have here. But this is just a little highlight. Our first one, that main map you see, is a layout of how all the devices in a home are connected, the Z-Wave devices. And this is on every panel. Really cool tool. And then these 3 on the side here, these 3 other tools, we have the counter tool, rediscover the network, and then your neighbors. These all get pushed up to alarm.com. So you could even see these from AirFX. But just understanding Z-Wave and how it works, there are times where maybe a house is sold and they just put in a panel and a door lock. And Z-Wave is a mesh network where, hey, this allows it. That means that if you send a signal, it can actually hop from one device to another and kind of repeat. So the more devices you have that repeat actually creates a stronger network, or that mesh network. So it's kind of the opposite of some other things like Wi-Fi. The more you get on a network, the less reliable it's going to be. Well, with Z-Wave, the more devices on your network, the stronger it's going to be. So here's a little example. Let's say all you had was the panel and the door lock. A lot of times you're going to run into issues with that door lock not always working if it's, you're getting some distance issues. So if you were to set it up with, hey, a thermostat, a light bulb module, another Z-Wave device, hey, these can talk with each other. Now you're kind of creating this mesh. One thing that we always when we see the thermostat here, that we always want to just point out, and most people know this, but for a thermostat to repeat, it has to be connected to a C wire, so powered up, and the batteries need to be out of it. If you have the batteries in and it's connected to the C wire, it's still going to just learn in as a battery operated device, so it will not repeat. So once again, for a thermostat to repeat, you need to make sure the batteries are out. So in this little scenario we're showing here, this is just one pathway, and it's good with Z-Wave if you can have alternative pathways. So let's say if the thermostat went down, and how that's going to make it so maybe the rest of your network would drop off depending on distance. But if you had another or additional Z-Wave devices in there that also connected to the panel, if the thermostat went down, hey, it could still go through this lighting control, maybe through a repeater, and that's helping build that mesh network that if one device went down, these can speak with each other, they can have neighbor nodes, and you've created a strong enough network that that's not going to affect the rest of your Z-Wave devices. And there's that thermostat placed back in there. We're going to go over just some of the devices that we have here at Colsys that are part of our lighting options. The first one we have is an IQ dimmer. Once again, this is Z-Wave 500, it's the Z-Wave Plus. It's a dimmable device, meaning you can control how bright you want it. One thing that's good to notice, it does not have a ground. So this does not have a ground in that outlet. But it does have the status LED, so if it's on or off, that light will light up the LED on the circle. And this also acts as a repeater in the mesh network. So it's a repeating device. And you always want to clear these once again before you add them. So with Z-Wave, always clear it before you add it. And once again, like I mentioned, it will not accept cords with a ground plug. It's just our dimmer. Our outlet will accept cords with ground plugs. This once again is Z-Wave 500. Accepts appliances up to 15 amps, and it does act as a repeater. Really cool device. And we're going to talk about some scenarios where you could use these, especially with the holidays coming up. Once again, clear before adding. We also have the Z-Wave light bulb, the IQ light bulb. It's 500 series. It repeats. Includes a little lock to make it so that the light switch is locked on. It's a clear little device, like a little kickstand thing that screws into the switch, or on top of the switch. I have this at my house. It's a great little device, and I use mine in my pantry. So we'll talk about some options for that also. And once again, just always clear these before adding. And when you learn these in, this is just, you actually just turn on the power to that light, and that's what learns it in, or what you do to clear the enrollment. And this here, just the best practice is leave light switch on all the time and control from panel or app. So that's how it is. That little kickstand thing will lock the light on, and then as far as the power going to it, and then you'll control the on and off of the light switch through the control panel or your app. And then something new that we have coming out beginning of next year is this IQ Smart Plug. Once again, it's a Z-Wave 500 series, has the on-off LED status. This has energy metering. So I'll show you what this looks like on the panel, but you can actually see what kind of the amount of energy it's using real time on the panel. And if you have an energy metering account set up with alarm.com, you could see more over time with it. It also acts as a repeater. So best thing to know about this is it does require the 2.30 software, which is coming out at the end of the year, and it's going to be available January of 2019. Kind of messed up there on that slide. I need to go back and edit it. So time for a little live demo here. I'm going to switch over to my panel here on my desk, light it up. I have this linked in. This is just my desk demo panel. And we're going to kind of go through and learn Z-Wave. So the first thing I want to do, just like if this was a live account, we're going to walk through this together. I'm going to go into my settings, advanced settings. I'm going to use the dealer code this time. Go into installation, the drill, and I actually hit devices there. And then I'm going to go into my Z-Wave devices. So we mentioned you always want to clear a device before you add it. So I have a lock here on my table. I'm going to hit clear on that. Hit the button to clear the lockout, and there it goes. Bam, I cleared out a lock. Let's also I have a couple other devices here on my desk that I want to clear out. So first one of those is my IQ outlet. And then I also have an IQ dimmer I'm going to clear out. And then the last device I want to clear is my smart outlet. So that little smart plug. And now we're going to learn these in. And as I talked about earlier, when you learn in a device, the first thing you want to learn in is the door lock. So we're going to start with that. As you can see, I'm close to my panel. I have the door lock about 3 feet away. It learns in the door lock. And what's nice about our panel is you can actually customize the name. So I could call this, we'll call this the NFL Man Cave. So let's say somebody put this door lock and they want to lock up their man cave. That's what we're going to call it. Hit add. Oh, I messed up. I had this all in capital. Here we go. There we go, include NFL Man Cave. So that's learning in there. And now we're going to do an outlet. I should have actually waited a little bit for that lock, but we're jumping. I'm jumping ahead of myself. We'll see if that bites me in the butt. But this is real case. You know, this is how the real world will work sometimes. So I want to do this as a demo with you guys. We're going to call this the hallway light, and we'll hit add. Now I'm going to add my dimmer in. Take just a second. We'll actually name this one. We'll call it the bedroom dimmer switch. And then we're going to add in the smart plug. And with the smart plug, it's those other devices I had, you actually just tap on them once. With that smart plug, you actually hit it 3 times really quickly, softly. Kind of a little unique device. I'm going to call this the smart outlet. And this is just for description for you guys. We'll call it fridge. Check. And we'll add it in. So I already had some other devices that were already in the network, but this is what we've included, just some extra light devices and that door lock. So I'm going to go now and show you some testing. You know, whenever you've added devices, the first thing you should always do with Z-Wave, if I was to ask you guys, somebody would say is rediscover the network. So I'm going to go into the system test on the panel. Hit system test. Go into our Z-Wave. You'll see all of our different Z-Wave things here. So first thing I want to do actually is I'm gonna ping all these. See see how fast these ping. This is if I was just like kind of sending out a command. And I've kind of did that pretty quick there, but you notice you can if you do too much with Z-Wave, but once you can jam it up a little bit, and if one of these is not connecting, you can run into issues with it. All right, those passed. I'm going to go into rediscover the network now. Let's go here. I'm going to tap on all of them and then rediscover them. And this is because I want to walk through some of the tests we have on the panel and how these can be very useful for you as a technician in figuring things out. Once again, the NFL Man Cave, that's the door lock, just to remember. Kind of a weird name I gave it. And I do have all these lights, this hallway light, the dimmer switch, and all this right next to each other with probably a lot of interference. So this is just taking a little longer than probably normally would, but pretty quick. All right, rediscovered all the devices. And now the first thing I want to show you guys is the Z-Wave diagnostic. This is going to show us how these devices are communicating. You know, if that last ping I did, if these devices went directly to the panel, or were they going through like another Z-Wave device. So I can click on this here, the Z-Wave diagnostic tool, and this is going to map out the last working route of those Z-Wave devices. So you can see here, I'm pretty close to much everything. Everything's actually just going directly through the panel, directly to the panel. But I'm going to actually unplug one of my devices. This is going to be my dimmer, and I'm going to just take it out in the hallway real quick. So just give me 5 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, I took that device a little bit farther away than from the other devices, so I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to actually ping these again. And this is just to create that. See if I can get them to go through a different route. That is one of the switches I did move. This hallway light's been, you notice each time it's been taking a little longer than the other ones. Bedroom dimmer went through right away. And now I'm going to do this Z-Wave diagnostic. And I just want to see if by moving that farther, if it's taking a different route. And this could just be, hey, as a technician, see, these are still all close enough that they're going directly to the panel. Part of that's Z-Wave plus. But to explain this diagram here and what each thing means, there's a little key. First round circle is just your active devices. If one of them was to be unplugged, it'll actually say inactive. So if I was to pull, you know, a plug out, it would show inactive. You got your strong, normal, and weak signal. And most of the time, these strong ones are going to be Z-Wave plus devices. Normal ones, or normal Z-Wave will normally just show up as normal. And this test works off of latency, how fast that signal is going through. So just a cool tool to have. Let's explain the rest of these tools we have. The first one is that we've used is rediscover the network, and you can do this from alarm.com or even through AirFX. The other tool we have is neighbors. So this also gets pushed up to AirFX. So I could say, hey, front room light, who are your neighbors? What other devices can you see? And here in this situation, it actually sees all the other devices. Because I have them all, I mean, my office isn't the biggest. You know, I did throw that one device down the hall, but even that device, that's this bedroom dimmer switch, if I look at its neighbors, it's still close enough that it's seeing all the devices. So kind of a cool tool with the neighbor info. The other tool that I love is this counter tool. And this one's really important because maybe you have a customer that's called in and said, hey, I have a device that quit working. Now it's in my master bedroom. And you're able to come in here and say, hey, out of the 239 acknowledged commands that went through, we had 12 failures. So we had 234 acknowledged and 12 that failed. And then you can go into the details here and see which ones failed. So I had actually reset some of these from the last time I was playing with this, but this one, let's say it's the family room light. Hey, I've noticed this one's failing. I can reset this here. This could allow me to say, hey, maybe something came unplugged, like a kid's bedroom or something, and you can kind of use this tool to help you diagnose, what's happening. So I'm actually going to back out and go back to this test. I'm going to unplug one of these devices, the smart outlet, and if let's say this was plugged into the fridge for some reason. Let's say I have a fridge down in my man cave, and I only want it on, on the weekends or something. This is just creating a failure, and this just so you guys could see that, hey, maybe the customer called in and said, hey, this outlet for my fridge down in the man cave is not working. Then you're able to use that counter tool to see, is it really not working? And you get real information. I can go back into details here, look down at this fridge. Oh, there's 3 failures out of 15. That's not good. With the Z-Wave network, you want to have 98% of the commands going through. That's a solid Z-Wave network. If you drop below that 98% passed, then hey, I got to look at options of adding in a repeater, maybe moving one of these devices that repeats to make that mesh network stronger. And this could be used also for, let's say, I have this thermostat, and you got your sales rep that only sold a thermostat and didn't sell any repeaters. You can say, hey, this is failing 30% of the time or half the time. We have data here that says we need to upgrade them with a repeating device, whether it be a basic repeater or an outlet. Or you could even use that to talk to the customer, say, hey, we need to add in a device, and it could help lead into a conversation about upgrading. So kind of some really cool tools here. And once again, the rediscover the network, the neighbor info, and counters is pushed up to Airfix on alarm.com. So it's really, really cool little data there. I'm going to plug back in my smart plug and do a quick rediscover the network on that one, just because we want to make sure it works properly. So let me rediscover this again, and we're going to go to the main UI of the panel now, and I'm going to show you how these different devices look on our UI, and also it's kind of how they would look on the app. We've tried to make our panel so it's very similar for a customer. Get that same experience whether you're using the panel, using your app, or if you're going to the computer to do things. Even though a lot of people these days don't use the computer as much to arm or disarm their system, they mainly use the computer now to set up scenes and rules, and we'll go through that also. But all right, rediscovered these devices. That smart outlet was the one I did unplug, so we do want to make sure that one goes through. Let's give it one more sec. All right. There it goes. I'm going to go back to the main screen now, and this is just going to show you guys what this would look like, what these devices look like on the screen. So I'm going to swipe over. These are my different devices. So what I can do here, let's say if this is like this family room light, this is on a dimmer switch. If I want to turn it on, I can just tap on the light bulb, and it turns it on. Sends the signal to turn it on. And then I can go and I can dim it. So if I only want it to be halfway, 50% power, I can do that. Over at the top right, I could hit select all, and this would give me the option to turn on all my lights at once. So I could hit on, and this turns them all on. So kind of a neat little option here. Let's see. What I want to do next is show you what the dimmer looks like, or the smart outlet on here. So we're going to scroll down, and you see the smart outlet on the fridge. It has this little lightning bolt next to it. So if you click on that lightning bolt, now you actually see the instant power that it's using. So right now nothing is plugged into it, so it's not, nothing's drawing any power off it. So I'm going to grab a little plug here just so we can draw some power from it. One sec. And we're going to see what kind of, I'm going to just have my computer plugged into it. we're gonna see what kind of draw we're getting. Just 1 second. Let me go back to the visor. So just by plugging that in, I can see, hey, this is the instant power that my computer is taking from that outlet. And this can also be pushed up, to alarm.com, and later on updates. And if you have an energy management package. So kind of some cool things here with the smart outlet we have. Touch outside of it, I go back just to my normal devices. And once again, I can click on them individually to turn them on and off. Or I can select all or select different ones I want to and just do certain ones also. So you have multiple options there. The next thing I want to talk about is some Z-Wave options that you have. And the first one I want to mention is the light bulb. What are some good use cases for a light bulb? Well, I've seen some people that put them out on their front porch, and they could say, hey, when somebody comes in my house or even rings my doorbell, that light turns on. Or the door opens, the light turns on. That's a rule you could set up, or a scene. Hey, this door opens, this light turns on. With our panel, you can actually set up a scene, and you may have seen this in the video where, hey, somebody walks up to the house, the Bluetooth disarming disarms the panel, and that triggers, hey, turn on the lights, adjust the thermostat, unlock the front door. That's a scene you can set up. In my house, I have it set up so when we come home and that panel gets disarmed, if it's after sunset, then I have a light bulb in my kitchen that turns on, and I have a lamp in my living room that both turn on for 10 minutes. And it's kind of a cool little way to use that. I've seen people in pantries or utility rooms where they put up a sensor on the door. It's just they program it as a 25 as an activity sensor to just monitor activity and not send a signal. But they say, hey, when that door opens now to the pantry, turn on the light bulb. And when you close the pantry door, turn off the light bulb. So that's a great use for a light bulb. For the outlet, one of the best use cases I've seen is people have routers, and they have to go down in their basement sometimes and reset those routers. Well, how much more convenient is it if you have one of these outlets, a Z-Wave outlet, and you can just pull up your phone and say, oh, there's my router, my Z-Wave router outlet, and I can just turn it off, wait a little bit, and then turn it back on and reset the router that way, instead of having to go downstairs and unplug it and then plug it back in. So there's some good scenarios to use. I even have mine set up where I have an outdoor motion, and it's in my backyard, and it's a great motion. It only captures one little area of my house, but if somebody used to go back there, and I think I have it set up after 9 o'clock at night, it turns on my back porch light, and it turns on a light in my kitchen. So if somebody was back there and they walk past that motion, it's going to turn on these lights, a light inside my house and my porch light on. That's a deterrent, for me. So it's a way I've used my light as a security type measure. So some really cool use cases you can do with Z-Wave lighting. And I just wonder if anybody has any questions that they want to send out to us. But what I want to do then is we're going to go into my account, and I'm going to show you guys actually how some of these scenes and rules can be set up. So just 1 second here. I'm going to go to my alarm.com account. I apologize for the delay here. I was hoping to just slide it over, but I need to actually get logged in first. So this is a personal, this is a real example of how Z-Wave can be used. So let's say I just logged into this account. This is a real account here. If I go into my automation on this account, here you see cold storage lights on with door. So this is an example that when, hey, the door opens, these are rules, that light turns on. When the door closes, it turns off. So this is kind of like for like a cold storage room. And these are rules set up. Hey, garage door triggers the kitchen light, turns on for 10 minutes. I explained that one to you. And this time frame is after sunset. Garage light. So it could be, hey, my MyQ garage door opened. Let's turn on the lights inside my garage for 20 minutes. And that's always on. So you have all these rules you can set up. You also have schedules. So we're actually going to add a new schedule just so you guys can see the options you have here. And we're going to do a light schedule. So we go into lights and we could say, hey, on, let's say on, every day except the weekends. Just during the week, we're going to set up a schedule. And we're going to say, first we want to select a device to turn on. So I could say, hey, it's Christmas time's coming up. We need to set up a Christmas light schedule. Where I could close this and maybe it's, hey, when we walk in from the day, our Christmas light turns on. So I could say turn on, and I could just say every day, let's just have this turn on at 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. and leave it on, and then I could say turn off, at 11 o'clock at night. So these are some cool little scenes that you could set up to say, hey, now my Christmas light or schedule, this is a schedule here, sorry, I said scene, but my schedule automatically turns my Christmas tree on every night at this time and turns it off. So I could call this Christmas tree. And then I could hit save and save that scene or that schedule. Here's a scene, and these are like your basic alarm.com scenes where you have your home, away, sleep, wake up. So you could say, hey, for what's that?
You lost video.
Oh, I did?
It's on the street.
Sorry, I'm being told I lost my video connection, guys. I apologize. Let's see what you're seeing. All right. Okay, I'm back on. I probably might have lost some of you guys there. But setting up a scene, this could be, hey, when I come home, I want the panel to do certain things, and I can go in and edit this and say, hey, for my home scene, disarm the panel. I could say, unlock a door. Let's keep the back door locked, but let's unlock the front door. I could say, open my garage door. Whatever you want for these scenes. You could have a mode for your living room, your thermostat. You could say, hey, let's turn on that living room lamp. And this would just make it so that scene on your phone now automatically makes things happen. So when I come home, and I call this the home scene, I can save that and set up a scene to have happen every day when I come home. And I hit the home button. You can set one up for away or for sleep to turn lights off and make sure all the doors get locked. This is something I do use at my own home. Is this sleep one where, hey, at nighttime when I say arm the system stay, it locks the doors. It makes sure the garage door is closed, and then you can make sure lights are on or off. So pretty cool ways to use Z-Wave lights. This was kind of just a little deep dive today on Z-Wave lighting. It's a little different than some of the technical presentations we've done in the past that take up 3 hours and we go over everything there is to do with the panel. But just to finish this up, does anybody have any more questions they want to ask? We'll leave this up, but this kind of wraps up our little deep dive into Z-Wave lighting. So I'll leave the webinar going for another 5 minutes or so, and you guys can ask questions, and I'll make sure we get them all answered for you. But thanks for jumping on, and thanks for taking part in our little deep dive on Z-Wave lighting. We appreciate it. And have a great Thanksgiving.
Everyone I know uses it a lot, so I'm thinking yes. My thought was, no, that was Mark. Jeremy's out of town. Let me put it in the cart and then I'll send you a link. I'll send you my username and login. And then if you decide to get it, if not, I think it might be more on sale right now too. Yeah, right now. Love you, bye.
This race. Well, did they just raise it?
Yeah, because over the summer I wanted to get on.
Because I bought one, Jeremy wanted to get on it. I bought one. That would pass. But mostly because I saw it.
I'm not convinced that I use it at all.
I know.
So,
It doesn't take very many minutes. It just-
no. And, but it's like, half the story of the treasure, but without a house, it's in the. Then we'll talk about that.
But, you know, you guys are out there. It's fun. Like,
Have you heard that you took this Provo company?
What?
You just went to like a warehouse.
Is it Shop Sweepy? Was it?
It was just like 4 letters. But she bought like 2 bags. Like these like
Nana and Co?
She has tons of Nana and
Oh, I love that she is. Like, I love Nana.
Co. Is Nana and Co the one that's like the Guatemalan bag?
Yes.
Marissa is like,
Are you serious?
she used to flip those like crazy.
Really?
I mean, she was like the Nana and Co like pro.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, with Nana and Co, like it was made me sick because she would go buy like
If the
10
warehouse, she do
bags.
warehouse.
Go to
If the
warehouse.
sales and then
But she'd go buy like 10 bags for like $3.50 each. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Like I'd get so pissed, and then she'd go flip them for like $8.50 a piece.
wait, what? $8.50?
Yeah, because she knew like what people wanted. So she had like this one lady in Florida that had bought a couple bags from her, a lady in New York.
That's insane.
So she'd go get to the warehouse, or she would like, she knew exactly when they post their bags,
Yeah.
and she'd wait. She
She's
knew how to
smart,
check
that is
out really
smart.
quick with like Apple Pay or something instead of like having to fill things out. So she'd just be like, select, buy.
Because
And you're going $3 later.
And I was like freaking, I remember flipping out a bunch of times. And then she'd bring in the money, and I'd be like, okay.
Wait, that's amazing. That's so smart.
Our diaper bag, like, that's what she uses.
See, that's what, yeah, I want a Nana and Co back.
I'm not getting attention. See, this is my problem with it. No, not a chance. There's not
There's
anything
certain-
you can say about that I don't convince me to pay that kind of money for it. Even $3.50, not a chance.
So
My
my,
diaper
Marissa
bag was
makes
like
it
originally
sick.
$200. I got it 60% off. That's the only reason I bought it.
my mom's
It's
best
just-
friend, one of my mom's best friend, her daughter does everything for her. So she does all of her marketing. So she's kind of like her personal
Yeah.
assistant. And it's just crazy. Those bags, like when they go up, they just fly out the door. And everything's one of
You know
a
what it
kind.
is?
Nope.
Oh.
So do they
This is-
post their bags? They're all
so
one of a kind
cute.
from Guatemala, and they're made from like this tribe makes them, and it's like the neckline. Some of them have like these. They're all just like artsy.
Yeah,
crazy
they're all
bags.
pieces of art. Like they're
Pieces of
literally
the
all
art.
pieces of art. They're one of a
That's
kind.
cool.
Wait, I'm gonna show you. I have a
They're
lot.
pretty cool.
Like, look at this.
I'm sure you're gonna mix it up.
Uh,
I'll see if it's both fake.
This is the Nana and Co wallet. I love it.
Jesse, I'm gonna buy an $800 purse.
I have a bag, my friend. The one that works. But I just.
What did you say?
See these little ponds?
Have you seen the big ones? So I have the big one. I have the big ones with my bag. So cool.
So she's made from
Still not good. She's still kind of